drop this album, I'm gonna go gold because the time is now. The time wasn't right then, you know what I'm saying? It was a little off time. The time is now.
They beat the nigga so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L did that.
Every time I went to Harlem to see Big L that he was gonna fight, he thought he was fighting your size, like the biggest in the world. He's like this. Yeah, I'm like, oh my God.
There is no comparison when you roll, son. It's embarrassing that I'm running with some of the bad, but Big L has another side that people don't discuss. You see, he had one foot in the rap game and the other firmly planted in the streets. Many well-known figures in the industry will tell you how serious he was because he wasn't afraid to throw hands.
Crazy, man. He was a big gambler. You know, Big L would gamble all the time. And, you know, he would fight like big.
When the dude get locked up, he goes into jail, start calling me, yo, in here that just took y'all watch or something, you know. And got crazy on the dude in jail. They beat the so bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big L did that.
Let's begin. Big L never fully left the streets behind, even though he had begun to acquire some serious traction in the rap game. Growing up in Harlem, he was a member of the NFL Street Group, which was headed by his elder brother, Big Lee, and, as a result, he got involved in a number of ugly street situations. One of the most talked about was his fallout with mase in 2024. In an episode of It Is What It Is, Mase talked about their difficult past. He and Big L were both from Harlem and were early members of a group called Children of the Corn, which also included Cameron Bloodshed and Herb McGruff. The group formed in the early 1990s, around 1993, but even so,
LL, you know, he was the guy, he took us everywhere to rap, and then when I got on, it was like the whole wave changed. It was like, this is what it looks like.
Thus, before we would come on, it was like, L, you know, he was a guy who took us everywhere for the rap. Additionally, Mase mentioned that he observed Big L using some of his own rhyme patterns in his bars. When I came on, it seemed like the entire wave altered.
A few of my lyrics, like different compounds that I was using, that's when you make two words rap at the same time. So I checked the nigga.
Not just words, syllables.
Yeah, syllables.
However, according to Mase, that conversation didn't go well, tension remained high, and things quickly got out of hand. He claimed that Big L wasn't trying to listen to the criticism and decided to bring in some backup. He recalled the incident, clearly saying, "Next thing I know, I'm in the tunnel and the dude Fat Joe comes up to me." But that wasn't the only time their paths crossed. There was another, much more serious incident where Mase talked about being back in Harlem one day, kicking it with his childhood friend God Sham God, who would later become an assistant coach for the Dallas Mavericks. They were just hanging out in the neighborhood when a robbery occurred.
Walked up 40th on 7th to 41st, and a Spanish just run out of nowhere like, yo, give it up, I'm gonna kill both of you.
Mase claimed that in an attempt to buy time, he carefully took off the watch and threw it close to a car tire before running away with Sham God. Fortunately, the police were nearby and apprehended the would-be robber not far from the scene, and they also found the watch. However, a short while later, Mase began receiving calls from people he knew who were detained in the same facility as the stick-up kid, informing him that the man confessed something crazy during a jailhouse beatdown, and that Big L had allegedly set the entire thing up.
So bad, he told us who did it. He told, it got back to the city that the guys that did it, it was like, yo, Big.
Fat Joe would later support this story in an interview by sharing his own thoughts on how things transpired that evening. He claimed that Big L had subtly set him up, recalling how L had approached him at the tunnel one evening and claimed to have some drama and needed backup. Joe was close to L through their DITC connection, and his guys were prepared to handle anything.
Right? He like, yo, Crack, I need you. I said, yo, what's up? You know, Big L, my little brother. Yeah. I said, yeah, what's up? Nah. I got to holler at this and this.
But when he arrived, Joe claimed he was taken by surprise when the supposed argument he needed assistance with turned out to be with Mase. Joe didn't anticipate that he would just stand there and watch the two Harlem natives trade blows while L became combative and turned to Joe for support, almost as if he were telling him to jump.
Pulls up to Mason backed up, man. Oh, man. And I'm standing with L.
Looking back, Joe acknowledged that it was a foul situation that he had no idea he was walking into. And there was also the rumored tension between Big L and the Notorious B. Joe also acknowledged that the moment likely changed Mace's perception of him forever, making him feel as though Mase never fully trusted him again. Although it was never officially confirmed as a full-fledged beef, there were some dubious moments that made the streets talk. It seems that Diddy was actually interested in signing Big L back in the early 1990s when Diddy was still at Uptown Records, but by 1992 Big L had already signed a contract with Kalaya, so that opportunity never came to pass. Later, Diddy would meet Biggie, and when he finally started Bad Boy Records, Biggie became one of the label's flagship artists, and his career took off with enormous commercial success. Now, aside from having the name Big in their names, Biggie and Big L had a lot in common. They were both lyrical monsters who were well-respected heavyweights in the New York rap scene, and they had close relationships with Jay-Z. Jay sparred lyrically with Biggie a few times, most famously on tracks like Brooklyn's Finest, but he also had a long history with Big L. Who could forget that legendary 1995 freestyle session on Stretch, and Bobo's show where Jay-Z and Big L went back, and for a lot of people who heard it, still argue that Big L got the uphand. Big L. Man, yo and Jay, man, that need to get up to Big L anytime Biggie Iggy may have taken the mainstream route while Big L stayed underground round, but their paths widened. It's said that Big L even opened up a few shows for Biggie while he watched her, tour proof that there was at least a professional relationship at point. But things got tricky around the time Big L released his debut album, Lifestyles OV. Deport and Dangerous in 1995. One of the standout tracks on the project was MVP, which sampled DRJ's Stay With Me not long after Biggie dropped Chance, Re-Chance, which used sample. Some fans and insiders be Biggie Iggy's record may have inspired, pired if not direct influenced, NC'd MVP, while Big L never publicly addressed. This is according to rumors. The overlap led to some conflict between their crews, not necessarily between L and Biggie, which is apparently how things got really heated. Around this time, L's older brother, Big Lee, had a close friend on the streets named Reggae. Reggae was a member of L's Harlem crew NFL and had connections to prominent street figures like Black Just from the Supreme Team. Word has it that Reg ran into a junior mafia member at a local Chinese restaurant. Apparently, he gave the man a hard body shot to render him unconscious, pulled a strap, and stole his chain. The crazy part is that the chain was allegedly the same one Biggie wore in a Martin episode. Following the incident, the junior mafia crew became enraged and went in search of Reggae to try to retrieve the chain. But Reggae refused to back down, essentially saying, if they want back Ack, they'll have to come get it eye blood. It was up for anyone who wanted to test it. Now, the Tunnel nightclub in New York City was the place to be on Sunday nights back then, and Big L was a regular there. According to sources, he would ask Reg for a chain to wear, most likely to maintain appearances. Rumor has it that the chain Big L wore on some of those nights was the same one that had been taken from Junior Mafia, possibly owned by Biggie. However, at the end of the day, all of that street drama and rumors don't define Big L. What people remember most is his unadulterated talent and passion for rap. You could hear it in every bar he spit, and that's what earned him genuine respect in the game. Born Lamont Coleman in Harlem, New York on May 30, 1974, he was the youngest of 3 children, in a family that experienced its fair share of hardships. His mother was left to raise him and his 2 older brothers alone after his father abandoned the family when he was still a little boy. They resided in a modest 2-room apartment on 139th Street and Lenox Avenue, which would eventually come to be known as a
told him nice, put me on, told me to drop for him. I dropped, we like this. We exchanged numbers. He started letting me open the shows. Then he put me on his remix single and all.
El was still juggling his studies and his burgeoning rap career at the same time. He attended Julia Richmond High School, where he continued honing his craft, and graduated in 1992. But even in his school days, he was already becoming well known. In Harlem, for his freestyle battles, frequently rhyming in the hallways, on street corners, or at house and block parties. In the beginning, all I ever saw me doing was battling everyone on the street corners, rhyming in the hallways, beating on the wall, rhyming to my friends, every now and then a house party, grabbing the mic, a block party, grabbing the mic. El said in his most recent interview, reflecting on those early days, by 1992, Big L was establishing himself as a major force in the rap industry and creating demos that would eventually appear on his well-known debut album, Lifestyles OV. In the same year that he appeared on Yom TV Raps with his instructor, Lord Finesse, to promote Finesse's album Return of the Funky Man, Dapoor and Dangerous Large L's inclusion on the remix of Yes, the B-side to Lord Finesse's Song Party, was his first taste of true professional accomplishment. This was the beginning of what would soon become a spectacular climb for the Harlem wordsmith, as he eventually secured his first album appearance on Represent from Showbiz and Ag cited Runaway Slave. Unquestionably skilled, El competed in a freestyle fight organized by Nubian Productions, defeating almost 2,000 other competitors to earn the top prize, confirming to Harlem what they already knew. Big L was a lyrical heavyweight.
We sold pies. When you roll bikes, we drove fives. There's no comparison, son. Just embarrassing.
His journey into the mainstream began in 1993 when Columbia Records signed him. Shortly after releasing his first promotional single, Devil's Son, which El referred to as one of the first horrorcore songs, the song attracted attention for its dark themes and was inspired by his love of horror movies and the harsh realities he saw growing up in Harlem. In the same year that Big L assembled some of Harlem's best talent to form the rap group Children of the Corn, COC, which featured future talents Cameron Killicum, El made it obvious that horrorcore wasn't his preferred style and that he was all about variety. Mademoiselle Dollar E. Together, Bloodshed and McGruff began making a name for themselves, but after Bloodshed died in a car accident in 1997, the group's momentum slowed. In 1994, Big L released his second promotional single, I Should Have Used, a rubber, which was a cautionary tale wrapped in his trademark storytelling and wit. By 1995, he released his first album, Lifestyles OV Deport and Dangerous, which peaked at number 149 on the Billboard 200 and rose to number 22 on the top R&B hip-hop albums chart. Despite its moderate commercial success, the album included hits like Put It On and MVP, which both became Billboard Hot Rap tracks. Lifestyles solidified Big L as one of hip-hop's most promising artists with his incisive lyrics and complex wordplay, but conflicts with Columbia Records over creative control resulted in Big L's dismissal from the label in 1996. Looking back on the incident, L said he felt uncomfortable at Columbia because he was surrounded by executives who didn't really get his vision or his music, even without a major label. In 1997, L started working on The Big Picture, his second studio album, because he wasn't going to slow down. In 1998, Big L took matters into his own hands and started his own independent label, Flamboyant Entertainment. The label's goal was straightforward: deliver authentic hip-hop without depending on mainstream gimmicks like top 40 samples or R&B hooks. That same year, he joined the Digging in the Crates crew, DITC, appeared in On the Go magazine, and collaborated with members like OC on songs like Dangerous. Under Flamboyant Entertainment, L released the iconic track Ebonics, a song that broke down African-American vernacular English with his trademark wit. Around this time, the song further cemented his reputation as a lyrical genius and was hailed by The Source as one of the year's best 5 independent songs. After noticing Big L's talent, Damon Dash, the CEO of Rockefeller Records, offered to sign him. However, he had one requirement: he wanted his crew to accompany him. In February 1999, Big L started the process of signing with Rockefeller, joining Herb McGruff, C-Town, and Jay-Z as the Wolf Pack. It appeared as though Big L would finally achieve the enormous mainstream success he so richly deserved. But sadly, Big L's life was cut short before any of those plans could materialize.